Hey everyone, and welcome back to LightHearted. I'm Rachel.
And I'm Britton. Today's episode is going to be a little more heavy-hearted, but nothing that would make us recommend a pre-screening for kids. We're talking about shame, more specifically, how to get out of a shame spiral, because that happens, and how to tell the difference between shame and guilt.
Today we want to talk about shame and guilt. These two emotions get lumped together a lot, but they're actually very different and they shape how we treat ourselves, how we show up for others, and how we heal.
Let's talk about shame versus guilt because they are different.
Yeah.
And so we want to make sure we're really clear about that. So guilt says, I did something bad. Shame says, I am bad. One is about behavior, and then the other attacks your identity.
And guilt can actually be healthy because it helps us course correct, own our own mistakes, and make things right. Shame, on the other hand, makes us hide, shut down, and disconnect.
So we do have a couple questions here. When you mess up, and we can talk about these too if we want to, but these are going to be journaling questions for you guys. When you mess up, what do you tell yourself about you?
Ew.
I think ones that are normal that happen all the time is like, oh, I'm so stupid, or I can't believe I did that, or like, of course I did that because I'm so dumb.
Yeah. I've done all of this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think everybody has.
Yeah, my big one is like, I am such a failure and I am never, ever going to get this right.
That's a hard one.
Yeah.
I've felt that one too.
That one hurts a
It
lot.
hurts. Yeah, because it hurts like, because you want to think highly of yourself, but then when you fail and then you're like, I'm a failure, I'm never going to get this right. I just think it complicates the relationship.
Yeah.
All right. The second question is, do you give yourself the same compassion you'd offer a friend? Rachel talks about this all the time.
Yeah.
So how often do you give yourself the same compassion that you would give to me?
Yeah. Very rarely.
Yeah.
Very rarely. I think it's so normal for us to be so kind and understanding of other people, but when it comes to ourselves, we are just so judgmental.
Yeah, we are. Judgmental's such a good word for that. Yeah, I hate that.
And our final question here is, what do you believe about yourself because of past mistakes?
I hate that question.
What do you believe about yourself because of past mistakes?
Yeah.
That I'm a failure and I'm never going to get this right.
That's what was like immediately coming to my brain was like that I can't ever get that right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because we talked a lot last season about, because Jordan brought it up. And so I feel like we talked about it a lot after that was like the evidence for your brain.
Yeah.
And it can be positive evidence that you're doing good, you're doing great things, you need evidence of that. But then the negative also impacts that. So if you have evidence of you messing up,
Yeah. And we know it takes way more positivity to like go against the negative than it does the opposite.
Most definitely.
Yeah. Okay, let's get into like the shame spiral. So a shame spiral usually starts with a trigger. Maybe it's a mistake that you made, a comment, a failure, and then it starts to snowball. Okay, so like it's not the failure or the mistake that like wrecks everything. It's the snowball effect that happens. So that turns into, I should have done this instead, or I always screw things up, or everyone sees how awful I am now, or I'm never going to be able to change.
Yeah.
So it's all 15 of those things that happen at once.
That's so true. It's like mental quicksand. The more you struggle, the deeper you sink.
Yeah, you saying that makes me think of my own personal spirals and falling into the quicksand. Yeah. Mine typically are in the form of like when I'm peopling, and then I go home and I just rethink every single thing that I said, right? I'm overanalyzing, which that's a me problem, right? But like I get home and I'm like, man, I shouldn't have done that. Oh, that was so dumb. I can't believe I did that. I'm a bad friend, right? Like it leads down this entire negative road that it probably didn't need to go down. Other people probably didn't think of that. And I hope that I already have the reputation that like if I did hurt someone's feelings, that they could say something about it. You know, so it's like logic does kick in at some point, but like that spiral 100% happens almost every time I leave my house.
That's not great.
It's not great.
So do you have any like pattern interrupters for that?
That's so good. Yeah, I think for me, like being like, I'm a terrible friend or I'm a terrible human being, that's one that like it has stuck with me for a very, very, very long time. So that's the one where it starts to creep in that I have to just like show evidence of the opposite, where I'm like, no, I'm not a terrible friend. Like maybe I did say something I shouldn't have said.
Right.
And like at that point I should just own up to it and like apologize or do the right thing. Right. But yeah, like I show evidence that I'm not bad.
Right.
I'm not a bad person. I feel like the normal shame spirals just happen to everybody.
Yeah, I think for me, the pattern interrupter that I use a lot whenever I'm falling into a spiral is just looking at it from someone else's perspective.
You're so good at that.
Well, I can speak it all day. Whether I do it well or not is questionable because sometimes it really is hard in the moment to do those things.
I would love to talk about what shame does to our brains. If that's cool.
That sounds great.
If we can go there.
Sounds amazing.
Science. Shame activates the same part of the brain as physical pain, just like a few other things we've talked about.
Yeah.
It literally hurts you. It literally hurts. It lights up the amygdala, your fight, flight, or freeze center. That's why you might lash out. That's why you might shut down or even dissociate when you're in deep shame.
Yeah.
You revert into yourself because you are experiencing actual physical pain.
Crazy.
That's insane. Yeah.
Also, chronic shame is linked to anxiety, depression, addiction, and isolation. But here's the good news. Shame can't survive empathy. At some point, we have to stop the cycle. So let's talk about what really helps when you're deep into it. Here are some ways to interrupt the shame spiral.
I think a big one for me is calling it what it is. Because I think oftentimes when we are feeling pretty crappy about something, like, and it's not just guilt, it's much more than that, right? Like, it's easier to just hide from it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's easier to pretend that things didn't happen, or it's easier to insert whatever feeling here, right? And so I think being like, is this guilt? No, I'm feeling really ashamed right now.
Yeah.
I cannot believe I did that. I feel ashamed of this thing. Yeah. So I think like calling it out, calling it what it is, not trying to sweep it under the rug. I think that is so powerful when you like bring things into the light. Then you can fix things and you can work on things and you can get the help that you need.
Right. I think one that comes to my mind is just to separate your behavior from your identity. Like, you are not your mistake. You made a mistake, but you are not that mistake.
That's such a hard one to do.
Oh, yeah. Especially when you're in the middle of it.
Yeah. It's like just reminding yourself, like I made a mistake.
Right.
And that sucks.
Yeah. But see, again.
But like, that's not who I am.
I wouldn't look at you and be like, oh, you're such a mistake.
Yes.
It's like, no, Britton, it's okay. You made a mistake.
Yeah, you made a mistake.
We're all humans. We're gonna do that.
The next one that came to mind for me, this isn't going to come as a shock to anyone if you've listened to any of our other episodes ever, is use neutral statements. Swap out how you talk to yourself. So that can sound like I'm still learning, or I can repair this, or I'm worthy even when I mess up.
Yeah.
You can say things like that to yourself to kind of like bring you back, get out of the shame spiral and like talk to yourself like human.
Right. The next one is super important for me, I know, and that is to reach out to someone safe. Shame hides in secrecy, so connection will break that.
How do you, in your life, how have you found like the people that you're like, okay, you are safe to tell these difficult things to? Because I think that's hard because like you never know where to start with that, because it's like, okay, I'm not just going to tell this random person that I know because like it's maybe they're gonna tell everybody, right. Or maybe maybe they won't be as helpful as I need them to be. So
I think it just boils down to your relationship with people, and like I feel like you just get to a point where you just kind of know that like, okay, like this person is understanding and kind. And I think it's important to like kind of watch their interactions with other people, or are they talking about other people to you about whatever they said to them. Because if that's the case, then maybe they're not a safe person to tell. Yeah. So just growing in a relationship with people, I think, is really important. And then starting out small. So if I don't want to tell someone, like, if I really messed up with something, if I'm like, I wonder if I could tell them this, I may start a little bit smaller.
Okay.
Like I may, like if it was you, I would sit down with you and maybe just tell you something not that big and kind of see how you handle it. The advice you give, maybe give it some time, maybe not. Maybe right then and there I'll be like, okay, this is a safe person to tell at this point. But maybe I'll give it time depending on who the person is and see how it goes. I don't know.
I think that's fantastic advice. Yeah. Especially if you're just getting started with like, okay, like I want to start breaking this cycle. I want to get out of this.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that advice.
But it is not easy for sure. It is scary, especially the first time you are sitting down telling something big to someone.
Yeah.
It's going to be scary. And you're probably, I know for me at least, in the beginning when I was starting to tell people things, I don't do this anymore, but I used to regret it every time. And it never ended up being like a bad thing that like I told someone. It was just like in the following days, I would be like, I shouldn't have done that. That was a terrible idea. What was I thinking? Why did I do that?
Do you feel like the shame just grew momentarily?
I think so.
Like,
yeah.
Like it was like, now more people know.
Now more people know. Should I have done that? Are they going to tell someone else? Why in the world would I do that? Now they're going to look at me different. Like all of it just would run through my brain the following, hours and days after I would tell someone.
Yeah.
And then it would wear off and it would get better. But yeah, I think that can be. So don't get freaked out.
Yeah.
Because like that's a normal thing. It's not like, oh, I did the wrong thing. It's like, okay.
I shouldn't have told anybody.
It's scary. Sometimes when you do the right thing,
yeah,
you're going to feel that way for a minute, and that's okay.
I think that's really solid. I like that a lot. I think another one is to not be afraid to challenge your own brain, challenge your beliefs.
Yeah.
Start looking for evidence contrary, right? So you say, okay, I'm feeling like I'm not enough. What evidence do I have that I actually am enough? Mm-hmm. Or I'm feeling like I suck at this. What evidence do I have that I could get better at this?
Right.
Like I don't believe in lying to yourself and being like, what evidence do I have that I'm actually the most amazing at this in the whole world? Like, don't do that. That's dumb.
Right.
Like your brain's not going to buy into that. But if you can say like, how can I get better at this? Let me find evidence of that happening.
Yep.
Yeah. I think
love that.
I love it.
Yeah. And I think the last one that comes to my mind is just to practice self-forgiveness. Remind yourself that you're not meant to be perfect. You're meant to grow. We're all humans. We're all learning new things. We're not going to be perfect at things. And that is okay. So forgive yourself just like you would forgive a close friend or family member.
All right. We have some more super fun questions for you guys. What voice plays in your head when you mess up? And what does that voice say to you?
Oh.
And not to do a plug for like parents, but for a long time, like as a parent, you are the first voice inside your kid's head. And so maybe be really mindful about the things that you say to your kids. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was going to say earlier too, when you talk negatively about yourself, I saw this on TikTok a couple of years ago as a trend started where people were hanging a photo, I don't know where it started, but of themselves as a kid, like a young child in their bathroom on the mirror when they're getting ready. So when you're saying negative things about yourself, look who you're talking to. That little girl.
Yeah.
And if
like,
you have,
would never say it to her. No.
And if you have kids too, I think that's a good thing to remind yourself too. Like, would I say this to my child? My child is listening to me. Like,
do I want my kid to talk to themselves the way
like
that I talk to this to myself? Yeah. No.
Absolutely
no.
Not. I'm curious to do you hear your own voice now? Like, is it your voice?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I think it used to not be. And then when I kind of set out on my little magical healing journey, it started to become my voice, which I think was nice because then I felt like I had power to change it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. What about you?
Oh, yeah. 100%.
Yeah? Yours is yours?
Usually it's out loud. I'm like,
I actually get to hear it.
I actually hear it. I'm like, you are such a failure. You cannot do this. Why are you doing this? Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not out loud, but it's definitely my voice.
But we're trying to not talk to my friend Rachel like that anymore.
We're trying to not do that anymore. The next one is, who do you trust to love you even when you're not your best?
I love that question.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because that's not sweet. Who can I tell my deepest, darkest secrets to? No. That's who will love me.
Even despite all of this.
Yeah.
This is going to make me cry.
And I do think if you truly are honest about it, you'll find that it's like you have people.
Yeah.
Yeah. You do have people.
Because again, we're all humans.
Yes.
They mess up just as much as you do.
Yeah.
You know, like, we're all in this together, and it's okay.
Yeah.
So let them love you despite not having it all together. It's okay.
I think if you guys remember back to the teen episode too, I thought it was interesting when Naomi was talking about how she was going through all of this garbage and like feeling just awful. And then like come to find out later that like all of her friends were feeling the same way.
Yeah.
And so I think like if you can be the brave one to share how you're feeling, and then all of a sudden it like opens up opportunity for connection and for closeness with other people, like then your circle just gets so much bigger.
Yeah.
Of like people who can love you even though you're not perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think something that's interesting that I recently learned, and for a while I kind of hated it. For a split second I was like, ew, I don't like this. Was that even the people that seem so strong and that you reach out to and that give you good advice are struggling. Like, we're all struggling with our own stuff. That doesn't mean they can't help you. Like, it's so amazing that they will help you despite their own struggles. But, like, we're all walking through deep water.
It's kind of a shock, though, when you're like, man, this was the person who just had it all figured out. And then come to find out, like, they were dealing with all of their own crap, too. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I had a few of those, too, where I was like, I had no idea. Like, I had no clue that you were going through any of that.
Yeah. So, for a minute, I kind of hated it. I was like, oh, wait. So, we're all sinking together so no one can pick me up.
Like, cool.
This is awesome. But, no, it's really been a good thing. And I can look at it and be like, no, like, they can help me. I can help them. Like, we're all in this together.
Yeah. And, like, I think it's powerful seeing people who are going through a lot of crap and, like, they're getting out of bed every day and they're taking care of things that need to be taken care of. Mm-hmm. And I think for me, that gives me hope for myself. Not to say you should never take a break or anything. Because, like, if you need to take a break, you need to stay in bed for a day. That's okay. You should do that. Yep. But, like, yeah, to see people just going through tough things and, like, still getting up, still making it happen makes me feel like I can do it too.
Right.
Yeah. My final question here is, what would it look like to speak to yourself with both truth and tenderness? Because I think you need both. Like, I think you can give yourself some tough truth sometimes, but you do have to have like tender moments with yourself.
Right.
So what would it look like if you used both?
Now we're going to move on from shame, and I think it would be great to talk about why guilt is actually a good thing. Guilt, when healthy, is actually an invitation. It's your values whispering, hey, that wasn't in alignment with who you are. Let's fix it. It's a chance to repair, not to self-destruct. Guilt says, you care. Let's do better.
Yeah. I think I'm glad we're talking about this because I feel like guilt and shame are like so interchangeable for people, but they're so different. Yeah. So like let guilt guide you.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I know like as a Christian, when we mess up, if we don't feel a little bit of guilt in that, like that's a problem.
Yeah.
Like
you need to feel it a little bit. Yeah. Yep, I agree. Okay. I'm thinking of stories that I've felt guilty. Okay. Oh. Yeah. My son's class was reading a story called Junie B. Jones and Her Big Fat Mouth. Pretty sure that's the name. And sometimes that pops into my head and I'm like, Britton Allen and her big fat mouth. Okay, so sometimes like I'll be hanging out with people or even like with my own husband and like I just say something that isn't nice or that like it's just not in alignment with who I am.
Yeah.
But Britton Allen and her big fat mouth, just like I just say it, right? And so I feel like those are times that I feel guilty, but it calls me to action. So it's not enough for me to be like, I'm ashamed. I feel like hiding. I want to withdraw, but I'm like, oh crap. Like I feel really guilty that I just said that. Let me
fix it.
Double back and apologize and fix it. And like, hey, I like that just came out. I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have said that. And usually like that creates more connection that like, not to say like that builds me up as like somebody who apologizes, but it does. Like I try my best to own up to things if I can. So yeah, I think that's one of many, many, many times that guilt has spurred me to action.
Yeah. I think that's also really good too if you're a parent or have little kids around you. Like if you do stuff like that and then apologize and like they see that. But that's such good life lessons for kids to like see their parents like make a mistake and then own up to the mistake and apologize for the mistake rather than like, hey, make a mistake and then just sweep it under the rug.
Yes. Yeah, like the number of times that our son has like apologized for stupid things that like he doesn't need to apologize for because he's a kid.
Right.
Like he'll be like, oh, I'm really sorry, Mom. And I'm like, man, like that was really quick turnaround for him to like be like, man, I made a mistake. Okay, I'm so sorry about that. I've seen it and I just love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. If no one has told you this lately, you are not your lowest moment. You are not your worst choice. You're growing, you're learning, and you are still worthy.
Shame says hide, but healing says come into the light. And we're so proud of you for being here and doing the work.
This week, try to start noticing when your inner voice starts spiraling. Ask yourself, is this guilt or is this shame that I'm feeling? And how can I respond with grace instead of self-destruction?
Thank you so much for joining us today. If you're enjoying LightHearted, don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review. It really helps us reach more people who need a little more light in their lives.
And make sure you join us over on Instagram at LightHeartedPod to see clips of our episodes and behind the scenes content. We would also love to hang out with you guys over on TikTok at LightHeartedPod. And be sure to check out our merch. The links for everything we mentioned will be listed below in the show notes.
And don't forget to stay lighthearted.
This podcast was recorded on Buzzsprout in West Virginia. All right, so as we close out this conversation on shame, we just want to say, if you're feeling a little tender right now, that's okay.
Yeah, shame is one of those topics that touches way more of our lives than sometimes we can realize. And talking about it, that takes courage. So if you've stuck with us through this episode, thank you. That says a lot about where your heart's at and what you're ready to do next.
And if you're listening and thinking, okay, I feel seen, but I don't really know what to do next, we get it. That's exactly why we've been trying something new this season.
We're adding journal prompts to the show notes of each episode. So if you're someone who likes to process things privately, write things out, or even just take a few quiet moments after an episode to reflect, these are for you.
They're simple, thoughtful questions that go along with what we talk about in the episode. Stuff like, what lie am I believing about myself right now? Or, when did I first feel shame the way I do today? It's not homework, it's just space to pause and look inward, because healing often starts with awareness.
And we're doing these prompts right along with you. Like, we're not just making these up for other people to do, we're actually sitting with them ourselves and letting God speak to us into those deeper parts of our stories.
So if you're driving right now or listening while you do chores, maybe come back to the show notes later when you've got a minute. Open a journal, jot some things down, sit with a question or two. You really don't have to rush it. Just go at your own pace.
And if something comes up while you're journaling, like, whoa, I didn't realize I felt that way, please know that's not a failure. That's growth. That's how healing really happens.
So yeah, check those out. We'll have fresh prompts each week that follow the episode. We really hope they meet you where you are.
And as always, if something from today's conversation hit home, feel free to share it with someone or reach out to us. We love hearing from you.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for being honest. And thank you for doing the hard work, because facing shame isn't easy, but you're not doing it alone.
So if you would like to share your story with us, please feel free to reach out. You can send us a DM, write a review, whatever you are comfortable with. And don't forget that it is okay to not feel lighthearted.